This episode is sponsored by Zenro Clothing Co. Pick up your tees and or accessories at zenroclothingco.com and be sure to use offer code Socrates at checkout for 20% off select items. Also, if you're not into spending the money, just check out the Zenrail radio playlist. zenrailclothingco.com, music for your everyday. This episode also sponsored by The Portian Bakery. If you're located in the Portian area of Scarborough, Toronto, be sure to check out The Portian Bakery, say what's up to Arville, and pick up a donut or two. Baked daily, crafted with love. This episode also sponsored by Podbean. Podbean is the podcasting platform of choice. It's the one that me and Vish use, and is great, you know, if you're looking to start that DIY podcast yourself. Definitely check out Podbean. Use the link podbean.com/SocraticGamers and gain 1 month of unlimited podcasting for free. Test it out, build that content. Anyone can podcast, right, Vish?
Yep.
Start a podcast and get your ideas out there. All right, enjoy the episode. Okay, so we'll try and keep this one short today because we both got stuff going on. But before we jump into the title topic, which is the Woman King, I just want to say that it's pretty interesting how, like, the law of diminishing returns, you know, like you expect that you can keep going and going towards like an infinite progression point. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I'll just keep gaining and keep gaining. But it was interesting because I was telling your brother before going to the gym, I think I told you too, but like before you go to the gym, make sure you can like at least do your body weight, because then you'll end up like hurting yourself.
Yeah, you should start slow.
Start slow, right? So I didn't take my own advice, and then I was like adding more and more weight, and then I ended up like wrecking my wrist on that bench. But then I started to think about like how there's like a minimum weight, like body weight, that you need to be in order to push more and more weight. But I didn't think that was a thing, because I would go to like the gym and I'd see these like really skinny dudes and like pushing heavy weights. I'm like, oh, okay, like maybe it's like it doesn't matter about your body weight, but I think they're just anomalies, you know. Like I guess you haven't really been to the gym, but like they're like really, really skinny dudes who can like push really big weight. But I think it's like a bone density thing or something. Yeah, is basically essentially like appearances can be deceiving. Like, you know, you think you can attain something sort of like media. You like look at somebody's like body, like Chris Hemsworth, and then you find out that was CGI.
Right.
You know, like you can't really judge yourself based on another person, which is, I thought, was fascinating. But lessons learned: do not push past a certain limit. Okay, another thing I wanted to bring up really quickly was Op is back. Remember how we were talking about
the song,
and I was like, oh, the problem with digital stuff is that it can just be removed. Remember? And I went back on his CD, his album on Spotify, and they put it back. So I guess like they got the clearances, so they were able to put it back. So I guess like no harm, no foul.
Yeah. I mean, it could be for multiple reasons there. It could have been like a contractual issue.
Yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, clearances, right?
Yeah,
like maybe the musician guy didn't allow his voice to be on there or something. But yeah, it's weird with like the digital world. You can like update stuff, and like it's sort of like software, I guess. You know, like Tesla software that you get, and it just updates remotely through Wi-Fi, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, like because we live in such a digital world, like things can, you know, like progress independently, or they just like come and go. It's elusive, you know, compared to like the physical, tangible world. I was trying to bring that up because I thought it was pretty interesting that Op is back. Another thing,
but circling back to that, because I remember it was Marcus Brownlee talking about it. Like, don't like with a Tesla or anything like that, like digital things, don't buy it thinking that that's where they're going to reach in future software. You should already like currently. Interesting. Okay. You should already like where it's at currently, and then anything else is just
a bonus. Yeah, for sure. Okay.
Right. Because if you're looking for that, because it's like, because Tesla's always talking about the self-driving thing. It's not there yet, right?
Right.
But if you're buying it for that reason, it may not even come with
or it might not be with your model.
Yeah.
Like you might need upgrades. So yeah, fair point. Yeah. a little different than the op thing, but yes.
Yeah,
as you're saying,
just because of the software thing with the
for the Tesla, when I brought the example. Another thing is the NASA DART test. I don't know if you looked into it, but
No,
I
I
sent
didn't
you
look
that
into
thing. But that's pretty good. So it was on CP24, and I was like, oh, this is kind of like interesting because we heard about this on those like TED podcasts before, where they're like, I listen to this podcast about like Armageddon's and like what happens if an asteroid's coming to hit the Earth, and what they said was, if an asteroid was coming,
I heard it before.
No, they talked about it, but
so they didn't
never
really officially.
they never actually did it. It was all theoretical. It's like, oh, if an asteroid does come.
No, okay. I know that they were going to do a test. That was like a while ago. I didn't know they had set up a date to do it.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, but the theory was like years and years ago, though. When I first heard about this, was like, I don't know, like 10 years ago?
I mean, like I heard about it relatively recent in the sense
of, so yeah,
like
the
a year
test.
ago or so.
Okay, well, I'm talking about like the actual theory proposed was like almost 10 years ago when they were talking about Armageddon's. I forgot what podcast that was, NPR or something like that. But anyways, they were talking about like what happens if an asteroid is coming to hit the Earth, like Armageddon, the movie. And what they said was, scientifically, if they just pushed the asteroid enough, it will avoid our path. Like even if you can move it by like 1%, the like ramifications of that 1% over time will actually make it miss the Earth, right? So this is all in theory, but now they actually sent like a rocket out into space. I think it's today. Today is the day that they're doing it. It was on like
no. I think that
you're searching it.
No. They already sent it before. It's hitting the asteroid now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Oh, okay.
That's why I thought, like, I remember hearing about it. I knew what it is. Like, now is the date. So no. Okay,
because the footage they were showing was a rocket. So I was like, okay.
Right. So this is just a quick Google search here. It said it was launched, because I remember this. It was launched in November of 2021.
Wow, a year ago. Okay.
Yeah. So the hitting date is on Monday.
Oh, Monday. Oh, okay. I thought it was today.
Or like that's what it like. All the redirection test it gives you from that November 21st or 24th when it launched, and then September 26th that's the launch. Those are that's the window from that time to now. So now
I guess the footage that they were playing was like the footage of the rocket leaving.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So they already that's what I thought. I was like, okay, so they're hitting the asteroid.
Wow,
now.
it took a year. Wow, that's crazy.
Well, they don't. Well, it's a year because they knew a specific asteroid, I guess, right? That they wanted to push. They know this is not going to be it.
Okay, but
something impactful directly to Earth, right? So this is a test.
Right, totally. Is
it going to work?
But you know what's crazy about that whole asteroid thing? Although, like, even if it does work, so you do feel better because you're like, oh, it actually worked. But the problem with that is most of the asteroids don't get seen until they're entering our atmosphere. So I was listening to a podcast about this, and what they're saying is, well, one, Jupiter, because it's so big, it actually absorbs most of the asteroids that come towards Earth. So, like, you have to thank Jupiter for its protection. But also, asteroids come into our atmosphere all the time.
Yep.
But it's like, but we just don't have the ability to detect all of them. So even though we have this new technology that, like, let's say it does work, it's like, but when can you actually use it? You could only use it on the ones you know about, but like, what about the asteroid that's going to come and you don't even know it's coming?
So I think like that's the thing. It's like I think there are ones. It's like the ones that are game changer ones. I guess those are ones you should be able to
see theoretically,
right? Like those are big enough that there is some reflective things that are coming off of it. I guess, right?
Right.
Versus a smaller one.
Hopefully, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm just saying. All right. I mean, like world-ending ones.
Hopefully.
Right. If it's like a city-ending one, I don't know. Right. I don't.
Because the Russian one, remember, it exploded.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't even know.
Right.
You could actually like YouTube that footage of like
exactly,
the Russian.
but that's not a world-ending one, right? That's
facts. Yeah.
That's what I mean. Where it's like those smaller ones. I think as the smaller and smaller it gets, it's harder to see those. But like I think bigger and bigger it gets, you should be able to see those. Like.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. As long as it's in our. In our direction that we've been watching.
Yeah, totally. Because it's also like these satellites or these telescopes or whatever that are like looking at the sky. It's like you can't look at all of the sky, so you don't know where it's coming from. Like
Right.
only if it comes within those areas. It's like CCTV. You know, like if you could used to hide from the CCTV. Another thing that they were saying is that
But it's like I mean, watching this mission is more like because you can't really watch anything. You just have to get the signal. I don't know how long
Right,
the
right,
delay
it's
the signal is.
yeah, true. Yeah, you can't actually watch its impact.
It's like, did we hit it? Oh, we hit it. Okay, did it? Do we know if it worked?
Yeah,
We'll
true,
only know
true.
that like
But how will they know if it works? It's like they'll watch it through the telescope mathematically.
how will they know if they hit it?
If it worked.
Worked is I guess the trajectory. So if they see the asteroid moving
Oh, okay.
in
Then they
the
know.
in the way that they planned it for it to move.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
So it's like they were saying it's like I think it's like some sort of explosion, right? So, but even a slight centimeter push from wherever it's at is going to be a big impact.
Yeah, over time. Yeah,
over time.
it's like Atomic Habits, that book. Remember, it's like 1% change a day leads to like 365% change over a year. So I guess that's what they're banking on. But another thing that I heard about that was kind of freaky is that the sun also blocks out asteroids. So when you're looking, so it's like you really don't know. So it's like
the moon does too. You can see all the impacts on the moon.
Right. So is this a false sense of security? Is my question. You know, it's like we seem like to the novice person, it's like, don't worry, we got this covered. We're just going to like use this redirection technology, and then you guys be safe. But it's like, but what about the asteroid we don't know that's coming?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of freaky. What was that movie that came out?
Well, we can only act based on what we can do, right? So if there's something that we can't see, well, that's it.
Yeah, facts.
Like we can only act based on what we can see, right? Like,
yeah, totally. Yeah. It's
unless like this is again, it's just a test.
That's true. What if it doesn't even work?
If it didn't work,
oh my god.
Then we have to. Well, it's not like this test did not work. So is there other methods? Is there like this is so just the. But we're only testing now, right?
But I think it's just because it joined like the public consciousness, like movies such as Don't Look Up.
Yeah,
remember that one? And Elon Musk wanting us to go to Mars because he's afraid of an asteroid hitting or like a world catastrophe. So I think like now that it's coming up more and more, like that's why they got the funding, I guess, to actually do this. Because it all comes down to funding, right? Public interest. Right?
Yeah. It's always I mean, NASA is doing the project, so it's technically going to help
NASA.
The world, right?
True.
If it works, right?
True. It's weird that we don't work together as a space community for this.
In some ways, they do. I mean, they did with like the whole International Space Station,
yeah.
right?
But I feel like this one deserves more global assistance, you know? Especially because it's like, if it is world ending, we're all going to need to work together to like...
Right.
Put our differences aside. Yeah.
I think that happens when they're actually in the phase of it, right? Like in an actual
yeah, fact.
This is a test. So it's like America does have the most money, so they have the...
Yeah, totally.
They're willing to spend money on this test. So.
I can't remember which... I can't remember the size. I mean, I think it's like 4 football fields or 12. It's like one of those, like 4 or 12.
Of an asteroid?
Yeah, which is a world ender. I watched that. And that's not that big. That's not even a city.
Yeah. No.
You know, it's like they don't really need to... It's because of the velocity upon impact. So a big... Like a relatively... Like 12 or 4 is like really big still. Like, you know, but it's not like the size of a city. Like you would expect a world ender would be like, oh, the size of a country or something, you know? Yeah. But I don't know. My dad has this line where it's like, if it's your time, it's your time.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, if the asteroid does come and we don't even know it's coming, it's like, well, what can you do about it?
Exactly.
You know?
I mean, like we know there's been multiple impacts on Earth.
Oh.
Or multiple
yes.
world-changing events on Earth based on asteroids.
Yeah.
So
totally. I wanted to say this because I just heard this on the podcast. What is it? The Smithsonian Museum or something. It's so what they found out. So okay, basically, I heard this on the Joe Rogan podcast with Graham Hancock, but then the Smithsonian, I believe, has now corroborated this, the rainforest, the Amazon rainforest. So there actually used to be cities in that. And the reason why it is the way it is now is because the cities used to have like gardens, like they created their agriculture, but then when the Amazonians or whatever, they got wiped out through the explorers through disease. The forest got away from them, and that's why there's so much vegetation in the forest. What they found, like you can go in the Amazon rainforest and find so many different like plants and like certain things, right? That, like certain plants that are like great for ailments or whatever, you can all find in the Amazon. But they're like, they thought it was just a natural growth of nature, and you're like, wow, look, this Garden of Eden. But it's like, no, people lived there, and they saw that with like LiDAR technology. They found like the actual city bedrock or whatever, the foundation of the city. So they're like, wait, what? It's giant. So apparently the theory now is that hundreds of thousands of people lived there, and then they just died. And then if you die, like what's gonna take over Earth, right? So like if we had what we have now and then we all died, it's kind of like that. Like the Amazon rainforest is just an overgrowth of what was lost. Fascinating, right?
It's a continuous cycle. I mean, Earth.
Like these cataclysm events, and like we've been here for a long time.
I mean, Earth has been here for a long time. But has gone through different types of creatures.
Yeah, totally. So, for sure. Like the dinosaurs, even. Right? The thing that I thought was interesting about that is an explorer wrote about that. So his ship got lost in the Amazon. Then he came out the other end, and then he had this whole like book about cities that he saw and like all this. And then they didn't believe him because they're like, nobody can survive in the Amazon, right? Because it's so dense. But then it's like, no, people did live there. But this totally makes sense.
Who's the explorer?
He's like a Spanish explorer.
Oh, okay. I was trying to think of Uncharted. Was he explained in that?
Oh, Nathan Drake?
Yeah.
No, it didn't come up in the game series. Or you mean like Nathan Drake, the game, or Drake the explorer in the...
Yeah, I don't know who the name was, the explorer.
Francis Drake.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. No, it didn't come up with him. But I forgot who the person was, but he was an explorer who his boat got lost, and they thought he was dead. Yeah. The other thing that I thought was interesting is when we went to Peru, and they said that, like in Machu Picchu, when the Spanish came to kill everyone, like take over the land, the people in Machu Picchu fled to the Amazon rainforest. So it's like, how would they know to flee there? Unless like there were thriving cities that they knew about. You know what I mean? But like history from the perspective of Western culture is just one piece of the puzzle, but we got educated in it to think that this is what history was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like fascinating to think that, other, like, did you even know about the Upper and Lower Egypt?
Upper and Lower Egypt? No.
Yeah, right? So like that's very common when we went to Egypt. They all knew about it. It's like, it's their history, but it doesn't get talked about here. So basically like Egypt, when they looked African, like way back when, they had like an Upper and Lower Egypt where it was divided in two. They had two kings, and then they eventually like made peace, and then they became one united kingdom. And then after that, that's when the Greeks and the Macedonians and stuff, like they all came and took over. And then that's when you get like Cleopatra, and then you get them not looking African anymore. They start looking Middle Eastern. It's because like the Africans merged with the Greeks, and then they started to create these different like ethnicities.
Right.
Weird, right? Like, but we didn't get taught that. We got taught like the Disney version of like...
No, we didn't really get taught Egypt history though.
No, we didn't. But I went to Catholic school, and Catholicism is linked with... Moses is linked with the Egyptians. So we watched a lot of like Moses movies growing up. So I knew tangentially about Egypt. Like,
But it wasn't like, I mean, we're not taught Egypt history.
No. Except that they were the oppressors for the Jews.
Yeah, which is the story from the Bible.
Which is the story from the Bible, Well, I went to a Catholic school.
No, I know. But I'm saying you're going to get taught the story from the Bible.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I was actually doing this. This is another topic. How much time we got left?
We We're just at 10:21, so we've still got.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, so I was doing more indigenous training. I just love like finding about that stuff. So like if somebody recommends like a free training, I'm like, yeah, let me take it. So I was doing the first module, and one thing that they were saying, oh no, I lost my train of thought. I started thinking about as Athena walked away. I was like, wait, hold on. Let me pull up my notes. Oh, yes. Okay, I remember. So Egyptian training. Oh, sorry. Indigenous training.
Yeah.
So I was doing the training, and one thing that they brought up was like they have a connection to nature, and they believe that we're all a part of this universal cycle, right? All these things. And I wrote in my like notes, I'm like, this is Taoism. This is like Chinese philosophy. This is like Eastern philosophy. Yogis believed this too. Yeah. So it's weird to me. So like what they're saying is Western philosophy is hierarchical. So like dominion over nature, right? Is what they were teaching us. Like colonial philosophy is like nature and man are separate.
Yeah.
Whereas indigenous philosophy is nature and man are one.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute. If you actually go one step behind this, the reason why there's a division between nature and man is because of the Bible. Colonialism is based off of Christian belief, which is like Adam and Eve came here and then God was like, this earth is for you. Right?
Yeah.
Whereas like indigenous Hindu, Taoist philosophies, they're all about you are a part of earth. So when they separated it, like they tried to make it seem like, oh, this revelatory thing that indigenous people know. I'm like, no, other cultures know this too.
Right. Yeah.
Right? But it's like, it's just viewing it from the Western lens. You think that there's a division between humans and nature, but that's only because of Christianity. Like they tried to make it a cultural thing, but then I went one step further. I'm like, no, it's a religious thing. It's actually not a cultural thing. It's cultural because religion influenced the culture. Like if you look at the history of Western society,
Sure.
Europeans, right? They all went to, like, they all conferred with the Pope before they did anything.
Yeah.
Right? I just thought that was fascinating. It's like, you guys still don't have the full story. Like doing the training. It's like they're kind of like putting indigenous on a pedestal for knowing that we're all one, but it's like, but if you did other things.
But that's a specific, that's the topic of the study, right? So
For sure. But what I'm saying is, no, I totally agree with you. Yeah, it's like an indigenous course I'm taking. But at the same time, it's like, why don't we look at the whole picture? Like if we keep looking at everything in small boxes, you're not going to see the bigger picture. It's
but
like,
it's hard to, I think it's hard to explain everything in a big picture thing because they can only talk about their experience, right?
But like if you just look at history.
Yeah, but like there's no one's like a all-around scholar. You have to know everything about the world.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, okay, fair point.
Right. So you're being specific to the topic.
But I think maybe that's why I'm able to like.
I think the thing is like I think the person coming into it should not just view as or should not just study one thing because then
for sure,
right?
Totally, yeah.
You could nothing going like it's good to learn about like the other cultures of the other worlds, right? So it's like then you can connect make the connections because that's what I was doing since
totally. And I was gonna say like I think you actually have to put on a specific mindset for that because I read the
you can't be. That's the thing. Yeah, you can't be like hard into one position. You can't
or even super focused in one position.
Yeah.
So what I was gonna say is that I read the Myth of Normal. And I read that pretty quickly, right? And Tara's like, but she's reading it too with her like class, and she's like, "How'd you read that so quickly?" I'm like, I don't need to obsess over the details of what he's saying because I'm not a doctor. So like, I'm just gonna take your word for it. Whereas like when they read it, they're like, "What modality is he using? What is the thing that's like associated with?" And like they're really like
studying it.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm not studying. I'm just like, what is the higher level thing you want to teach me? So I think you're right with these courses. They're so drilled down into like the specifics that they're not like Like only I saw it because I'm like, I don't really care what you're teaching me.
Yeah, but
I just want to see what the message is.
I get that, but I think that fits for the types of people that are just looking for the message, versus if you're teaching it, you have to use that in your process. You have to study.
Fair.
Right.
But I feel like it's like the Bruce Lee quote where he's like, "Don't look at the finger, look at the moon, or else you'll miss all the heavenly glory." It's like, we gotta look at the big picture.
Yeah.
You know. But it's important for people to like look at the granular. Like, she's a doctor, I'm not a doctor.
Exactly.
Like,
That's what I'm saying.
Why you're a doctor,
that's what I'm saying. It's like it depends on where you're at, right? And what you really want out of this world, kind of thing.
Yeah, fair point. Well, one other thing that I found really interesting, and I wanted to bring it up because I'm like, I totally get why people think that aliens were around and the indigenous knew about aliens. So their creation story is that the Earth was made out of mostly water. Mm-hmm. And this was in the training. They like went through the creation. I was like, oh, this is interesting.
It's fascinating to know other cultures, like origin stories.
Yeah, origin stories. Yeah, totally. Yeah. So, like, this is more higher level. I can't go into the very specific details because, like, it's very intricate. But essentially, the Earth was made out of water, and there were the sky people who lived above the Earth. And then one day, the sky woman, she fell from the sky. And then she like plummeted towards Earth and she needed help. So the animals started to come and help her. Right. And then like yada, 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 they give her seeds and then she uses like the seeds to create Earth on a turtle's back. And that's why they call it Turtle Island, North America. Yeah, Beans. Sorry, you're going to hear Beans crying because she's like just in the room. But yeah, so with that, it's like, doesn't that sound like aliens? You have sky people. Like, where do these sky people live? And then one day the sky woman, she falls to Earth and then she creates Earth through her technology. I'm not saying that it's really aliens, but you know how like you could jump on that. You hear that, you're like, are aliens real, bro? Like, what are sky people? Like, where did they live?
Right.
But they could.
Yeah, they could.
They could be aliens.
Who knows?
Like, you know, Prometheus the movie.
Which one?
Prometheus the movie.
Yeah.
It could be like that. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be. There's like, because I remember hearing about like other, like when they were talking about, it was in a human journey thing.
Okay.
Like origin stories of how they got to, like the Australian people.
Oh, how did they get there?
Well, it's like their story was like, I forgot exactly, but it's like
the real story is that it was prisoners.
No, not the white Australians.
Oh, okay. The
Aborigines Australians.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
Because this is the human journey thing. I remember that documentary. Yeah. So it's like their story had like coming from the West or something with. I don't remember. I don't want to like quote something that's what's incorrect, but it's like something about the storks bringing them. I don't know. I don't want to say like something like that. This is vaguely what I can remember, but it's like. Oh, it's like kind of giving them like they came from this side, this direction.
But maybe they did come from that direction.
No. They're saying that is probably true that they came from that direction. But then there's these stories with that, right?
It's
so
like,
they're not saying that their story is incorrect. They're saying that their story is like giving them an idea of where they possibly like with the direction that they came into Australia.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah, it's interesting when you think about these origin stories because it's like there is some truth to. Like every lie or myth, you know what I'm saying? So it's like
because it's. I mean, you got to say like there's always going to be the first, or not the first, but like the first tribe that's here. They're going to tell their kids how they got there, right? And then
and then
it's going to continue like that, but it's going to add. They're going to add things to the story.
And it was also naive science, right? It's like you believe that there was a volcano god that you had to pray to in order for it not to erupt or get angry at you, you know? But it's like we know now that that's just tectonic plates.
Well, yeah, or it's more like understanding how to like we should respect the volcano, and like not like when it gets
true.
It's more about that
as it's starting to erupt, like okay, let's just hide or whatever. But it's like you need to give children stories to the next generation because like how else are they going to remember it?
Exactly.
You know, we do it. It's mnemonics, right? Like when you're trying to memorize something, like or like short form stuff. Like for example. You know the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog? Have you heard of that before?
Yeah.
Okay, so what that is, if you don't know what it is when you're creating a font, everybody uses that sentence because it uses every letter in the alphabet. So if you write out that sentence in a font, you can create fonts that way,
Right. Okay.
right? Because you go through all 26 letters. But it's like, instead of going A, B, C, D, like, like memorizing the letters, it's like you create a mnemonic, like a memorization pattern.
Yeah, which is much more easier to remember.
Right, just like these myths.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, yeah. Fascinating. Okay. I got... okay, 2 more and then we'll go to Woman King. What time we got?
We're at 10:30.
Okay, cool. Wow, that's a good time. Okay, so I was thinking about life as a privilege. So it's all about perspectives of how you frame a situation, right? So like, okay, so I have the dentist coming up and I'm like naturally nervous, right? And then I was like, wait a minute. Like I was thinking about this in the shower and I was like, I remembered being in Egypt and being like, wow, this place is really like run down. What dentist can you go to? Mm-hmm. And then I was like, wait, we live in the first world. I get to go to a dentist. I get blah, 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 right? So it's like, you kind of, if you switch your perspective of like, I'm subjected to this thing, but then you turn it to like, oh, I'm grateful for this thing. Exactly. It creates your whole, like you have like a mood shift and like your body feels better, because we're like chemical beings and like you change the perspective, you change like the chemical that's instead of anxiety and now it's like appreciation, So I thought that was pretty fascinating. And that actually ties into the next topic of the myth of normal. I was saying in the group chat about how the way that we live our lives now is so trauma based and like so fight or flight survival, right? It's like, we have to make it to work to save up money, to pay for this thing, to go on vacation, to pay for this next thing. And like, oh, I want to make sure that I look on par with another person, or like I'm working 2 jobs in order to support, you know what I mean? Like just the way we're structured financially. And like the media is just always bombarding us and like, oh, just suck it up and, be a man about it, stuff like that, right? All of those things are the repression of trauma. And what he's saying is that when you repress trauma, you create stresses in the body, and stress doesn't allow for your body to heal. And like cancer is the big mystery, right? We're all just like, how do people get cancer? Because you can like look at the most healthy person who like eats well and like exercise and they suddenly get cancer. Like, how the hell did they get cancer, right? But what he's proposing now is cancer is highly linked to emotion. And the reason, like, not airy-fairy way, but like when you're stressed out, you can't allow your body to repair its cells. And what cancer is the haywire of cells. Right. Right? Because like when your cells go out of whack, they end up attacking. Like that's when you get like malignant cancer. Because cancer is just one cell that just starts eating away at all other cells, right? That's essentially what cancer is. And so what he was saying was that because we can't enter into that healing state, that's why cancer growth takes over. So it kind of got me thinking, like, have we just doomed ourselves into a society that's not healthy for us? You know what I'm saying? Like that's why the book is called Myth of Normal, because the things that we propose as being normal are actually maladaptive. And they're not natural to us. Like isolation's a big one. We live in giant cities, but we don't talk to one another. So it's like, that's actually not good for our psychology because we're communal beings. And that's aiding to our stress, Yeah.
I mean, everything that we're doing is not normal.
Right? Yeah. Or no.
What I mean by that is like
natural. So it's not natural to our
it's not natural. Right, that's correct, yeah.
Like you're going against your natural order of things, but that's what's causing these maladaptive behaviors.
We've done things, I mean, we're just supposed to be hunter-gatherers kind of thing.
Exactly, that's his point.
We just go out or hunt for food.
Like we chill with our friends. Like
we're just supposed to, it's about sustaining. Versus
constantly. And this goes back to my first thing about my wrist, because it's like I was like, oh, how much more weight can I add, and then I ended up adding too much weight and then I sprained my wrist, because it's like our culture has built us in this way that's like, how much more can I get, right? Whereas like our natural tendency is about community sustaining and like peace, you know?
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah. It's, we've set ourselves up in this direction, in this type.
Yeah, right. That's what the capitalist mentality is, right?
Yeah,
And that's what he's saying. It's like this quote unquote normal behavior is actually really bad for us from a health perspective, you know? And at one good example that he was talking about birth, right? When women give birth in like communal societies, it's like a whole, like, you know, they chant, like you've seen like tribal stuff, right? They're chanting, they're all like holding the woman's back and like, we're there for you. Like it's a very like positive emotional thing, like, cause it's very traumatic on the woman, right? Like you're giving birth, like birth is highly traumatic, right? So then what he was saying is if you go into the birth wards, you treat a woman who's giving birth like a sick patient. Right? You put them in a gown, you like strap them up, you like inject them, like, okay, you're kind of isolated. Only one person can be in the room with you, which is like your husband. Right? But he's like, but that's not natural. Like that's adding trauma to the baby's experience, for baby's first experience of life. Right? Like what he said is when the baby gets born, like everyone in the community touches the baby to like let it know it's safe. You know, you're a part of this now.
Right.
But we don't do that. You know, like what do? You like rip the baby away, cut the umbilical cord, wrap it up, give it back to the mom. And then even after that, you put it in a separate room so that they can observe it, isolate it. It's like you're being sent into this like cold environment that's like isolated.
Yeah.
Like it's a small example, but it's so telling of our current society.
There's two ways to look at it, right? So I get that. That's correct. That we've removed ourselves from our community ways of doing that.
Yeah. We're talking about like health.
Yeah,
like
but also like
sanitation.
No. I'm just saying like the rate of actual babies being alive.
Oh yeah. Compared to before.
Is there. You know what I mean? There's a difference here where we should start kind of mixing both of them again.
Right. So
it's kind of like we went in the sense of like thinking of
survival rates
after, like from giving birth to like then removing ourselves from what the cultural aspects.
Ooh, yeah, you're right.
For the sake of the mom or the baby to be alive.
Yeah.
So we've got to bring it back down or like level it off kind of thing where they're
find more balance.
Yeah.
But
it's hard to you have to show that, right? It's now evidence based. It's like
fair. Because we live in a scientific world.
We live in that kind of world now, right? So it's like, okay, how do we prove that or show that having communal as well as like being
it's still safe no matter what.
It's still safe.
But maybe that's what like home births are and stuff like that.
Yeah, but it's very rare that
you need money to do that as well. Yeah, interesting. It like that book made it onto my top 5 book list only because it really makes you think about the way we structured society. But we've had these conversations, remember, like, so like even before he wrote this book, it kind of felt like, what are we doing with the way we're running our world? Like we're just working to live. You know, it's like it's like we've I don't know about you, but I just feel like we've created a society in which it's like, in order to be a part of the society, you're just always surviving. Like making money is a way, like you can't not live in the society without making money.
Yeah. We've built that.
Right, exactly. Whereas like before, it's like, if we lived communally, you can just survive if you want to.
Yeah. But that's why people leave, right? Like that was the whole 60s kind of thing. That was the whole... Yeah, it's like they found... Society, exactly, that's why they're like...
Communes, you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
True.
But then it's... there's different ways to look at it.
But it's good... It's good that people are like now talking about it. Like Gabor Mate actually wrote a whole book about...
I mean, this is, again, this is what happens from this. That's what I'm saying. Like the people like this
push and pull.
Exactly.
Right. Like the world's pushing back. So you're like, okay, well, I gotta.
But that's generally always the reaction, right? Where there's too much, where something's not working, right? As you said, you kept questioning society. This is not working. This is not working.
Yeah.
There's going to be people that are questioning that too. So those are the ones that are it's a push and pull thing where it's like, okay, wait, we have to have newer ideas, or we have to fix this, or transition.
But
from
that's
this
the
to that.
Taoism, right? That's the respect the Tao. You know, it's like both sides are equally important, but they're always competing with one another. You know, or not competing; they're always like sharing space.
Yeah.
You know,
But that's the we go in certain directions because it's working, and then it's like, wait, this part is not working. We have to change. That's just the
ebb
way
and flow of everything.
It's always like that. Yeah, like maybe we go pull towards too much on the communal side, and we're having other issues. Like we don't know, right? Like I'm just saying.
But I wonder, like, if that, like, I feel like that gives people the most peace if you understand that this is just a part of nature. Like, you need the good as much as you need the bad.
Yeah.
There's a great line. It's like, I can't remember, or maybe I came up with it. I can't remember where I heard this, but I wrote it out. It's like, you can't know without bad. You can't know what good is.
Yeah.
Or else it would just be neutral.
Exactly.
So it's like everything's the same.
Yeah.
Like how you would need the opposite in order to show you what that thing is, right?
Yeah.
So it's funny, I was saying like how I was having that conversation with that person, and they were like, oh, I wish I was like back before colonialism ever started. I'm like, easy for you to say as we write this on Apple products, you know, colonialism came out of Apple products. Mm-hmm. I mean, Apple products came out of colonialism.
No, I get that. Like we can, I think it's more of a fantasizing of that world,
like, you didn't
because
know what
you
it was like.
don't actually know.
Yeah, that's why I said you don't actually know what it was like.
Yeah, but we can fantasize of a possible better.
Yeah, I can
time
fantasize
maybe,
about
but you don't
too,
really. Yeah, exactly.
That's
what I'm saying.
Real,
I know.
Like,
I know.
But that's why in the conversation I was like, all you can do is move from what you do know and then make the future better.
Yeah.
That's really all you can do.
Yeah, so you can't change the past. We're here now.
That's literally what I said.
I
was like,
now.
You can't change the past. We are here now. So like now that we know, let's just change the future to how we want it to be.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But
that's all you can do. Like you can't be stuck in the past.
But then it made me think about their response to that being like, oh, I wish we were in like pre-colonialization times. I was like, what do you hate about your current life? Like, it's not really about, it was more telling about like, what don't you like about your current situation that's making you wish you were there? Because if you liked your current situation, you wouldn't be thinking that at all. Like if you were like a multimillionaire, you'd be like, it's great. It's great for me. Yeah. But like, would you be a multimillionaire and also think like, oh, I wish I was back before colonialism? It's like, no. The whole reason why you're here now is because, like, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, what choices did you make that are leading you to not like the present? Yeah. But you could always change that. It's like, just go forward.
Yeah. But it's also like a perspective thing. If you're just stuck in the thing that this is the worst, I would have had a better life without it. Like, that's also trauma.
It's trauma, yes. But that goes back to the myth of normal, right? It's like, there's something in your situation that is like making you suppress that trauma. Yeah. And it's coming out as wishing that we didn't live in a colonial society, but it's like, but we do, and we are able to have remote jobs, and we're able to, like, you're able to listen to this podcast right now simply because of colonialism. Like, there's no other way around it. You know, you got to thank colonialism, which is a great segue into our final topic. How much time we got left?
It's 45 now.
All right, 5 minutes. All right,
10 minutes.
5-10 minutes. All right, cool. So, let's go into the score and then we'll go into philosophy. What do you think?
Of the movie?
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it we were gonna give it a score?
Watcher must or avoid watching. Or neutral. It's like whatever.
Neutral.
Yeah, me too. I can't say that it was good. It was overhyped. And I feel like the person who said it on CP24, he couldn't go against it. It's like so BIPOC empowered. Well, black empowered, actually, not even BIPOC. It's just so black empowered that it's like, if you didn't like this movie, it's almost like
I think a lot of them, it's not getting as much hype as let's say Black Panther.
Well, yeah, because that's more like Marvelish and
no, but like the attention isn't as much as
Black Panther.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wait, hold on. I'm just gonna pick her up. Really, all right, we're just gonna cut really quick. Okay, we're back. And she's back. That's so funny. So I was gonna say that it's probably because that's like a Marvel movie, right? Like it's like,
No, it could be because it's a Marvel movie. I agree, but I don't. It's not getting as much attention like online. Like
oh, okay, because it wasn't that great.
yeah,
Like, yeah.
yeah.
But I think that's all you can do with it, though. It's not like you can't say it was a bad movie, or else it almost seems a bit racist. But you can just not talk about it, and that's your reaction to it.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
like the only
Like
way
we'll
to,
see
like,
how
give
well
a
it does
bad-
next weekend, right?
Yeah, facts.
In the box office, because generally that's how it works. It's
Like it wasn't even like the film. I don't know. I felt like it was too old school for me, or like too Braveheart-ish. You know, like
it did have the Braveheart. Yeah, that's true. The Braveheart thing. I think it was
like
just
rise
that,
up and like rise up and
Yeah,
we'll,
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's like yeah, okay, and it was just it felt too predictable. Like everything was too perfect.
Yeah, it was
she
more-
gave away her daughter.
yeah.
Her daughter came back to her. It's like, come on, bro.
Yeah,
it's not even real.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, there's parts of it that were just. I think it was more like kind of showing you the culture of the time or something. That's what it was. That's what it did.
I think that's what we were talking about post movie. That there were so many storylines going on that it was like that's why it's so jarring, because you're like, okay, we're focusing on this. Oh no, it's actually about this person. Oh no, it's actually about this person.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, I guess if you look at it like a cultural piece, it's like, yeah, everything put together is like this is what that time of those people were like, kind of thing.
But it did. I mean, I guess the main thing was like, here's actual woman warriors that we
Yeah. Okay.
don't know about from history.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so now to get into the philosophy side, speaking of which, with the whole colonialism thing, so the whole movie is really about, the premise of the movie was that this kingdom became super rich because they were selling slaves, their own kind, and then they wanted to switch to palm oil, like a different resource to sell instead
I
of
don't want to say own kind, our own
people.
tribe, right? The different tribes there were.
But it's still your people. It's like you all come from Africa.
Yeah, but when you go, yeah, that's like, but tribal, right? Everyone has their own tribe.
I guess, but it's still like
We're
still the same
connecting.
people.
We're
Like, you
saying
guys look
everyone's
the
the
same.
same race, but yeah,
no, your own
culturally they're all different.
culturally, yeah, but I'm saying like you're selling your own people, like not people, I guess, because you're like, or your own ethnicity,
Sure.
you know. So like they were just warring over one another and like selling slaves, but like if you look at the slaver, he was looking at them all as a commodity, right? So that's why I said like your own kind, because it's like that slaver didn't care about you. He worked with both sides in that. It's funny, you would think that this was the main storyline, but this is only one small part of the story. That's why it's so confusing. But okay, so anyways, one thing that really made me think about the whole movie is that slaves were super essential to our current way of life.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
Like, not that they made everything, not just that they made everything, but just the fact that they were the most traded commodity.
For history, though, for like
yeah,
throughout history.
throughout history, right?
Yeah.
And what he's saying is like, we made your kingdom rich through slavery. The African people,
Yeah.
not even the slavers, right? The African people were getting the money from the slavers, and the slavers were making money in both Europe, you know, and that's et cetera, et cetera. Like they were moving the money around. Like without slavery, you wouldn't have, like, essentially slavery was one of the biggest global economic trades back in the time.
Yeah.
Like, sure, there was like spices and then palm oil that he was talking about, but even she said, like, you think palm oil is gonna like make just as much or more money than slaves?
Yeah. I think labor was the main thing.
Labor.
Right?
Yeah,
Labor was
fair.
the-
It's labor. It's not slaves. It's labor.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it, actually. Yeah.
Basically, they were for labor. They were for labor.
Yeah.
That's what the business was.
Right. Free, like essentially free labor.
Essentially free.
Because you would buy the slave and then you'd feed them and that'd be it. Like your cost would be low. So it's like, how do you build an empire? Well, you need people to work.
Yeah.
You can't pay them to
Yeah, we didn't have big machines then, right?
not just big machines, but you also didn't have like construction workers. Like now that you see construction workers, you're like, oh, that's the slave job of before. They would have just made them make a thing.
Labor jobs. Yeah.
Yeah, labor jobs. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So like a lot of the things was like, as you know, in our century, a lot of the stuff was taken over by big machines, right?
Yeah,
So it's
robots.
like-
So
yeah.
our new robots are new slaves are robots.
Yeah,
Like, think about it.
Yeah. Machines. That's what the whole point was, right?
What, to create machines? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like how else are you going to pick the cotton in the field?
Yeah.
Like you would need laborers,
Yeah, exactly.
but
Now we
have robots that do that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's like cutting
right?
down. Yeah, it's like cutting down the labor cost.
Yeah, exactly. Everything comes down to economics. So it's like, even though, actually, this was in the Gabor Mate book, which I found really fascinating. It's not that I will kill you for a profit. It's that I don't care if you die in pursuit of my profit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't care. Like, I'm not trying to kill you. Like, I want your money. I want money from you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you die in the process, like, so be it. But that's what slavery is. That's what capitalism is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is literally how our society functions,
mm-hmm.
right? Even jobs, like, why do you get paid like a minimum wage job?
Yeah.
Right? It's like, because I want to keep my costs low. I don't care if you die in the process of it. Like, you can't afford healthy food, it's your problem.
Mm-hmm.
But I need to keep my costs low.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like we're modern day slaves in that way, you know, workers.
Yeah.
Yeah. But sorry, to go back to it, it's like, even though slavery is so negative, it's so easy for you to say on a podcast that has mics that feeds into a computer, after this, we're going to drive to a different location and play video games with the rest of the, you know, it's like you have all these luxuries and conveniences at the hands of slavery.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the foundations of this countries were built on that.
Right. And it's like, yeah, totally. And it's like the people that are like holier than thou are like, oh, I wish I was, you know, I wish it was a different time, or like,
I mean, yeah, I get it in the sense of that these bad things happened and you don't want them to happen. I get it in that sense.
yeah, it sounds bad.
Yeah.
But like, that's the Taoism, right? It's like, how would you know what good is without bad? So it's like, oh, that was pretty negative. We'll correct it going forward.
Yeah.
But like, you also have to appreciate the fact, it's more like just giving thanks.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like, this is kind of random, but like, Jesus died for our sins. So
Mm-hmm.
we thank Jesus for dying on the cross for us.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he was beaten and then crucified, the positive out of it was that we don't have original sin anymore.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's like, you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs.
And yeah, that's true. I mean, it comes, like, I'm just thinking about, like, even like when the British was in India and then when they left, it's like you can hold grudges for so long. Like, you got to move on with, you know, it happened. Now
What
we
are
have
we
to.
gonna do?
Yeah.
You know?
And like, now that I hear was like at the time when the Queen died, right?
Yeah.
I was hearing was that India is like, not per capita, but India as in like GDP wealth is richer than the UK.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Right.
Why?
Not per capita, because per capita you're doing by per person, right? So they have a billion people though.
Yeah.
So it's different.
Oh, when she died.
Yeah,
At
or
the
like
time
they were
of her
mentioning
death.
that.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
it was
yeah.
like now India
rose
has
up, yeah.
has more money than the UK does.
You're welcome. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, it sounds so negative, but it's true. You know? You know what's funny? Okay, well, all right. I know we're running out of time, but Bruce Lee was often because now that I went back and like watched those clips, he was often laughing in those interviews as he would say things. And I was like, that's a person who gets it, because you understand the hypocrisy and you're laughing about it. Like, even though I said like, you're welcome, as like a punchline to that whole spiel, somebody could hear that and be like, you're so insensitive.
Right.
But it's like, no, I just get the hilarity out of the situation.
Yeah.
It's like, you're mad at something that you use daily. That's hypocritical. It's pretty funny. You know what I mean? I think maybe that's why like comedians are great for that, because they point out your obvious hypocrisy or flaw, you know? Because like, if you can't, it's actually in that movie, The Woman King, it's better to laugh than it is to cry. Remember, she was like crying about something, like talking about the suffering that she went through being beaten, and she's like, isn't it better to laugh? And it's like, yeah, it is better to laugh. Yeah. Because what are you gonna do about it, man? Like,
true. Yeah, we're here.
Done.
We're here. It's happened. Now we have to.
Unless we create a time machine and then we all vote on how we should go back and like change things, but I think that would create a lot of problems.
You don't know the butterfly effect of that.
Exactly. So it's like, unless that happens and you're so confident in changing things. Actually, there's only one thing Okay, the last thing, and then we'll end it because we both gotta go. There's only one thing. If I could go back in time, I would tell myself. Because people are like, oh, if you can go back in time, like, what would you tell yourself? And people always felt like, oh, I would tell myself to work harder, blah, blah, blah. The one thing, I always said no, there's nothing I would change because, like, I wouldn't be here, right? The one thing I would change is I would tell myself to floss. I swear, isn't that so ridiculous? But it's like...
Actually, that's true, yeah.
That's the one thing I would go back and be like, trust me, goddamn floss. Like, brushing won't work, you need to floss. Other than that, I'd be like, yeah, have at her, bro. Like, do whatever you're going to do. Because you're going to get to your point anyway. Like, you'll hit where you are now. But that's just the one thing I can't change. Is like, I just wouldn't have cavities if I just flossed when I was younger, But what about you? Is there anything that you feel like, if you can go back in time, you would just tell yourself one thing?
I don't know. I don't
Invest in
think
Bitcoin.
about that. That's hard to know on the spot.
Yeah, true. I guess. Yeah. But people are like, oh, I tell myself to invest in this or like whatever. Like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, you could
do all that, but like, or maybe that just highlights our traumas. For me, it's like flossing because I think it's trauma, right?
True. Yeah. You want to mitigate that trauma, so.
Yeah, true. Whereas other people would like want to be richer or something. Yeah. Anyways, I guess lesson is you gotta respect the Tao, bro. You can't have the good without the bad. Like, slavery was just as necessary.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, just don't be stuck in the past.
Like, we watch these movies and we just learn from them. If they inspire you to change the current state, then do it. But like, don't.
I think that's
fixate
the thing.
on it.
I think it's like learning from the past. So it's like maybe we had certain things for cures of certain things in the past that we've.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Those could be brought up.
That's actually what. That's interesting you say that. That's what they're finding now, through like medical stuff. That a lot of indigenous people have cures that we should tap back into. Well, that's why there's a huge resurgence on, like, spoiler alert, at the end of the book for The Myth of Normal, he talks about ayahuasca. And the end of Will Smith's book, he talks about ayahuasca. Joe Rogan always talks about ayahuasca. Well, not ayahuasca, DMT for Joe Rogan. But, like, there's this huge resurgence for, like, consciousness expanding substances in order to, like, fix our mental health crisis.
Right.
But that is something that Western society, like, abhors. Like, they don't like that at all. Like, medical stuff.
Yeah, I think a lot of... I wouldn't
right?
just say Western society. I think it's a lot of societies.
Yeah, true. Even Asia, like, you'll be killed.
Yeah.
But
like taking drugs in general.
Yeah, true.
Not a good thing.
Even the person like who's in Brittany Garner or something.
Who?
The girl who got she's in Russia right now for like
8
right. years.
Yes.
Yeah, but she had like CBD.
The WNBA player.
Yeah. So she had CBD on her to like help her with pain. It was CBD. It wasn't just even freaking not psychoactive, bro. But like, yeah, that's certain countries they don't even play.
Right.
Like I think Saudi Arabia. I know Singapore's death penalty.
Wow. Okay.
Death penalty,
so there's like,
bro.
yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's I wouldn't say. I think these cultures had them. It's just the influence of the West has.
I think so too. I agree.
Has made us really despise drugs for some reason.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because like there was a huge war on drugs in the Philippines. Still, I mean, right? Like they will kill you there too. I don't know about the new president, but the old one, he was like, "We'll kill you."
I don't know about the killing you. I think it was just more like.
No, I think he said that we will kill you.
I think those are like. I think those are like talking about people that were dealers.
Dealers. No, like not like recreational. No, I mean like drug dealers that will kill you.
Okay.
They have that in Brazil too. They have like hit squads.
Yeah.
Like literal squads dedicated to go into these favelas and kill people.
Right.
Drug dealers.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I thought that was kind of interesting because then now that America is decriminalizing weed and more drugs too, like mushrooms, like I think all the drugs in Oregon are all decriminalized. So you take like mushrooms, heroin, all that stuff there. But what is that going to have an effect for other countries? Because they're going to follow suit.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, maybe we should decriminalize it.
Yeah.
Oh man, all right. Oh, super last thing. Sorry. Because I thought this is super interesting. So you know that line where it's like, you either die a hero or you watch yourself become a villain? Speaking of like legalization, I've lost all support for Trudeau. In the beginning, I was like pro Trudeau. Remember, go back to the old podcast. I love that guy.
Sure.
You should have died a hero, bro. Like, you got us CERB. I was so happy about that. You got us legal weed. You used to box. Like, I was so on board. You got us vaccines. But now you're like a shell of your old self. Because remember recently he was like, we all need to get the shot or else it's going to be a bad winter. You know, I was like, well,
before.
that? Like, come on, man. Like, recently.
Yeah.
And then they just took away the federal requirement for like shots or something to come in.
Yeah.
So it's like hypocrisy, man. What are you doing? Yeah, like he's so pro-vaccine. And remember, like even during COVID, he called all of the truckers or people who didn't get vaccinated like racist, misogynist. Like, how do you know that?
Yeah.
It's like you became the villain. You know, just want to throw that out there. So I'm voting conservative next year, or whenever. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, I feel like that guy's going to win. Pierre Poilievre. That's the current
conservative guy.
leader.
Yeah. It's just I lost all support for. He was so good.
Yeah, but I just don't. I wouldn't go conservative in my opinion.
Maybe I'll just go NDP again then. I voted NDP last time.
I think that's what's current polls are showing, that they have increased in numbers percentage-wise. NDP.
Oh, nice. That's great.
So a lot of the liberal votes seem to be swaying towards NDP.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Because.
But it's gonna be split though, and then we're gonna get a conservative leader.
Well, whatever. Slow change is better than no change, right?
Sure. Yeah.
I'm just like. I just feel really bad. Even watching like him sing that Bohemian Rhapsody song, I was like, "Come on, what are you doing, bro? Like,
yeah.
This is supposed to be a solemn time. You made this whole video about the Queen. Did you see the video where he's like, well, she's one of my favorite people.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. And that's like, and you're singing at the top of your lungs, Bohemian Rhapsody. Like,
yeah, he's not.
Keep your story straight, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Like, you could see he's just a politician. You're like, oh, damn, you are just playing a game. But I didn't think so before.
Yeah. Everyone's playing a game.
Yeah. That's funny. Because I know people who were saying that he's playing the game, and I was like, no way. You know, like, but you're like, I don't like
you
him.
can't say it. Everyone.
But he seems so genuine. To me, I was like, oh, this guy really cares, and like, whatever.
He's just going to follow through wherever the polls are showing.
Yeah, and that's kind of like, is a really bad analogy, but that's like political prostitution, bro. It's like wherever the money's coming from, I'm going to take it, you know?
Well, yeah, they do our bidding, so, yeah.
Yeah, but like, stand on your laurels, bro. Like Bernie Sanders or like AOC, you know? It's like, stand up. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Those are two Americans though, so it's a bad example. I don't know any Canadian politics.
But that's the thing.
It's not entertaining.
I think in general Canadian politics is pretty boring. So.
Yeah, fair point.
Which is probably what we want.
Yeah, true. You don't want them on the media. Dude, do you see that Biden thing? That new video where he's like, he's so confused.
Yeah.
Oh my god! I was like, unless that was taken out of context, I'm not sure.
But what did you get from that video though?
Where he walked off and he was like, oh, where am I going? And they're like, Mr. President, and he's like, oh, I'll come back here. All right, cool.
Oh no, that's not what.
Oh, okay.
That's not what it looked like to me though.
What do you mean?
He was like, how do I get down? That's what it looked like to me. Where he was like, he pointed down.
Okay.
Because then when the other guy was talking for a little bit, he saw him and he like walked off stage. Or should I go down? Yeah, it's the same video.
Oh, okay.
Because he looked like he pointed down.
Maybe, I don't know. He looked bumbling to me, like an old man bumbling. I think
it was like, how do I get down? or do I go down? Or do I leave now? Maybe that's what it is.
Maybe. Well, those are the optics you got. I got the different optics. I was like, what is this guy doing? Like,
yeah, no. I saw the same one.
He seemed like an old man I'd want to help. Like, oh, sir, no, over here. Not a president. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was the difference. It's like...
No, the other guy... Yeah, I know. But he was like getting off stage. Like, how do I get down? Or like,
Yeah, all right, but like
that's what it looked like to me.
what I'm saying is like the
But he
energy
is
he was
old,
giving
though.
off.
He's
Yeah,
old.
that's what I mean. The energy he was giving
Yeah.
off, like irregardless of if he was just trying to get down or not, it still gave off the energy of like, I wanted to help you. It's like, like
Oh
when you
yeah,
see
yeah.
an old lady,
This way,
you, like,
President. This way.
open
This way. Yeah.
like, or if you see like an old lady having struggle with the door, you like open it for them. Like, I wanted to give them that.
Yeah, he's like 80 years old, right?
I know, right? Like, but he's the president, so I was like, oh my god, what are we doing?
It's funny though. Like, he's the one that's saying like, yeah, there's pandemic's over.
Yeah, right, bro. Come on.
Like he's been saying things like, yeah, pandemic's over. Like,
Yeah, good for him.
yeah.
He'd
We're-
update Trudeau so that Trudeau can be like, yes, it
That's
is
what I'm
over.
saying, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
you're right. I will stop marketing like poorly.
Yeah, like only now, September 30th, it is a vaccine in Arivcan finally getting removed.
Yeah, see, so come on, man.
Yeah. Took too long.
Yeah,
Like America was open way earlier.
I know, but like, gotta do the bidding of the vaccine lords. So like, we don't know what the kickbacks are, or like the promises he made. I really don't think he thinks it's about being sick.
No, it's not about that.
Yeah,
it doesn't
exactly.
work like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
No, I mean about the vaccine thing.
yeah,
Like
the hospital
kickbacks.
beds, right? Oh, you mean kickbacks? What were you
What
talking
were you talking about? I don't understand what you were talking about then.
No, because of the business wars thing I listened to, they made deals with governments
Yes.
to give them
Oh, yeah.
the vaccine, but it wasn't free. They had to pay for it.
Yeah, no, I know.
So what they said is like, we'll help you with the marketing once everyone gets their shots, we'll help you with the booster marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw that for, when I heard that for the business wars thing, and then I see the way Trudeau's acting, I'm like, oh, you're just doing the marketing for the people that you promised. You don't actually believe that we all need to get the vaccine or else we'll have a terrible winter.
Well, we don't know. I don't know.
I
Because the
don't
federal
know.
government was very slow at
I'm
changing their
incredulous.
policies. Yeah.
Well, but then you removed it, ArriveCan. So it's like, but if you were really worried about winter, wouldn't you keep ArriveCan then?
No, that's the thing. I guess that's where they're like, no, the public are not wanting this anymore.
Right. So it's like your messaging
only-
and your messaging and your actions are completely incongruent, and they're making me confused now.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what who's giving him his information.
That's what I mean. So it's like it's just marketing now. Like you don't really believe in the things you're saying. Yeah. Even remember when he was like, oh, everyone stay home. And then he got caught visiting his family and then he had to apologize. He's like, oh, sorry. Yeah. That was during the pandemic. But anyways. All right. We got to go.
Yeah.
Till next time. Take it easy, fish.
Peace.
Bye. All right. Hope you enjoyed that episode. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all those fun things. And check out our sponsors, Zenro Clothing Co., Portian Bakery, and Podbean. Take it easy, fish.
Peace.